With the sounds of screaming fans cheering for the Hawkeyes at the loud Kenny Stadium up in the press box, one of the leading sports writers for the Hawkeyes, Scott Dochterman, is currently taking notes about the game. But Dochterman, who graduated from Western Illinois University, had different plans instead of being a writer, but found his passion while playing football.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pro football player.
Yeah.
And then when I was a sophomore in high school, I didn't start. One of my buddies started ahead of me, and I realized I wasn't going to be an NFL player. So what I decided, I also like to write, and so I took a journalism class in high school, and really enjoyed it. I was pretty good at it, so I stuck with it, and I still played football, of course. And so then I, decided to make that my career. So. Yeah, I worked part-time and became a J school graduate at Western in '97.
Even though Dochterman now knew he wanted to be a writer and how difficult it was getting a job as a writer after college, he luckily knew a guy.
Today's world is much more difficult than it was even 15 years ago. Now, I got a job at a small-town newspaper in Muscatine, Iowa. And I was covering high schools, a lot of them. It's a lot of work, but it's also rewarding work. You learn a lot of things. So in today's world, newspapers are shrinking their staffs. I mean, it's very competitive, and it's not, the job security is very difficult to manage. But what I did was, I knew a guy, and there was some openings, and I tried for a few, but really, once I graduated in May of '97, I just wanted a job really quick. So I kind of took this one about 2 weeks later. We stayed there for 2 years.
With Dochterman getting tired of his editorial job at Kansas City, he decided to move to Iowa City to work at the Gazette.
Well, I kind of came to a crossroads in my career because I wasn't that old. Then I decided that I needed to either write or be an editor, and I needed to leave where I was because I was tired of it. And so I decided that this was a good prospect. I came to, I was able to get the job here, and again, I enjoyed my time there. I covered the NFL, I covered Major League Baseball, and some Big 12 too, but also managed to supervise the staff, and but it was a lot of responsibility. I had, a young family, and decided I wanted to kind of take the writing end of it because you can always go to the other side if you need to. So.
Even though Dochterman has found much success in his position at the Gazette, there are times where his job gets challenging.
A lot of things. Number one, the competition is fierce in this state. It's not certainly not a big market like Chicago or Kansas City or anything, or New York. But the scrutiny and interest and intensity of covering the Iowa beat is pretty strong. I mean, this state carries a lot of interest in Iowa. I mean, people want to know everywhere, and so the competition's really strong. I mean, I have to check my phone before I go to bed. When I wake up, I have to have a lot of contact with people, as far as just to make sure I'm not getting beat on any story. The intensity of the days and what you work. I mean, my bosses are going to kill me, but the last pay period I had 50 hours of overtime. So I worked 130 hours over 2 weeks.
Because of those challenges and the big time commitment Dochterman does, he loses a lot of family time with his wife and 2 kids.
New Year's, haven't yet missed Christmas, but Morehouse does every year when they go to a bowl game. So that's what I would change. Is just after a while you're like, wow, I've been here 8 years and I missed 5 Thanksgivings because of this, and you don't get those back.
With his job being challenging at times, Dochterman does get to meet a lot of people, but he cares more about the way they present themselves rather than the sport they're involved in.
For me, it's not so much about stature of the people I interview anymore, because I've done the NFL thing, I've done the MLB thing, and it's about the people themselves, the way they treat people, how they're interesting or not. I liked Peter Jock's older brother, Dat Jock. It's humbling. I mean, they're from the South Sudan. Their father was murdered, and talking to him last year, he wants to save the world. He doesn't want to make baskets. He wants to save the world, and that I find that very impressive. And talking to him about what his goals are in life, and to go back to South Sudan to basically try to end a civil war and become the leader that his father was, because his mother's in a state senate over there. And So, I guess that's what I find more interesting than, simply putting a ball through a hoop or over the fence or through the uprights.
After writing for the Gazette for a couple of years, Dochterman has concluded that sports have an effect on the Iowa City community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, athletics are the front porch to the university. I mean, and it's no doubt about it. I mean, the way people feel not only in town, but on campus and around the state, it reflects on how Iowa performs, especially in football, and partly in basketball. If Iowa football was 9-1 right now, or 10-0, this place would be buzzing. I've been there when they've been really good in basketball or in football. When 09, when they started 9-0 and up to number 4. I mean, this place was a blaze. It was crazy. And again, if you're a fan of a program and it's doing well, people talk about it. People are happy. They walk the streets. They're excited. When they're 4-8 2 years ago, nobody had anything to say. It was kind of boring. Yeah, it absolutely reflects. I mean, community. If a winning football team that does it the right way, man, there's nothing that changes the outlook of a community and a fan base and probably a good portion of the state like that.
As a sports writer, Dochterman had the opportunity to see some of his favorite sports moments.
I would say the tightrope that they walked in 2009, when they started 9-0 and every game was epic, from blocking 2 field goals in the last play of the game twice against Northern Iowa to Marvin McNutt catching that touchdown pass on the last play of the game at Michigan State to so many moments of that year.
If Dochterman would not have been a sports writer, he believes he would have still been a part of writing in some way.
Writing, I guess, media probably. I mean, as I said, I've covered everything from murders to trials to presidential campaigns to strikes, as well as all these sports things, and so I would be definitely involved in media. If there was anything I would do outside of it, it might be working for a team or something as far as public relations, but I don't see that being my end game. I think media is pretty much where I'm at.
When asked about his future, he only had one thing on his mind.
Just keep a job, everybody's got aspirations and goals. I mean, mine aren't really that extreme anymore. I mean, I enjoy what I do. It's hard, but it's rewarding. I mean, if you don't like what you're doing, if you don't like this job, you might as well do something else, because it is time-consuming and difficult.
To conclude, he gives us advice for inspiring journalists.
Know when you're young, don't care, bust your ass. Go get it. Go win. Go be tough. Don't be afraid of anybody. Don't be intimidated by Kirk Ferentz sitting there. Be respectful. Ask questions. I think, unfortunately, all the fans I listen to are really mad after a loss. And, you guys ask softball questions. No, you just don't like the answers. Because I'm not going to stand there and point my finger and go, "Why did you run on 3rd down?" I'm going to ask him, "Hey, Kirk, what happened on 3rd down? Why didn't you run?" Well, that's just the play we called, and everybody's going, "I can't believe I'm hearing this," but that's just, so, you deal with that kind of stuff. And
As we leave the Gazette office, Dochterman goes back to work to keep Iowa City up to date with its sports.